Hi, today I want to talk about time in Hollywood movies. I was speaking with a ADHD client of mine the other day around their wishful thinking. So wishful thinking is imagining that you are able to get 100 things done in a few hours, whereas once you actually look at these tasks and think about the time estimation associated with them, it ends up being at least a couple months worth of work. Factor in things like needing to have lunch, commute times, sleeping, exercise, catching up with friends, and that wishful thinking can really look very unrealistic under the spotlight. So, how does this tie into Hollywood? Well, I was speaking with this client about their wishful thinking, and we were discussing, well, where does this come from? And we were discussing that we're actually not taught how to deal with time. A lot of these organizing strategies, if you have not had the, I was going to say pleasure, but if you haven't had the association growing up and you haven't seen it mirrored to you, where are you going to learn these things? I work with a lot of people who in offices, they're like, oh, I took that from so-and-so and I've taken that from so-and-so and I've just kind of cobbled this together. So nowhere is this is how you work, this is how you do life, this is how you organize. So a lot of the times if we are watching movies, and especially my clients with ADHD, it can be a little confusing. They can feel like, oh, I should be able to do X, Y, and Z in my day because I see this regularly in film, or I often forget about lunch or the time it will take to get the bus, or I forget about bathroom breaks or things like this because I'm not seeing it in the content that I am digesting. Which is funny because when we do watch a film, they are running back and forth and they're not having to factor in sleep. The time all seems a bit off, and especially if you are someone with unique energy levels, it might be strange to see that someone is heading out for a date at 9 o'clock, whereas you're like, whew, that's my bedtime. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that at 9 o'clock, but maybe I should be. Maybe this is normal. So viewing time and how we see it in movies is something to unpack and see how that has reflected and informed how we use time ourselves. In films, they are cutting different aspects of everyday life just because they're quite mundane, but it doesn't mean that it's not happening in everybody else's life, or even if that character was a real person, it would be happening in their life. So take a different perspective on these movies and observe, where is the time a bit askew here? Where does it not align with real life? And think about how it may have affected how you go about living your life. Maybe you also are having to cope with wishful thinking. So the next time you're watching a film, keep in mind their use of time and think about how it has affected your life.